So before I got banned on Instagram, I used to talk a lot about coffee and its benefits. I even had a reel, around 50 million views on a reel about coffee. Got a lot of attention, and I think in that reel I spoke about putting eggs on coffee. Like, that's how crazy I was about coffee. I was doing crazy stuff with my morning coffee just to, make things more interesting. But anyways, I want to bring that here on this page, purport the benefits of coffee, and why I think everyone should be consuming coffee, and why I think for those who do consume coffee, why you should be less afraid of drinking or upping your coffee intake. So first of all, coffee is very neuroprotective. It's been shown repeatedly in the research to lower rates of Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, and the effect is a lot more pronounced the more coffee you consume. And just from simple observation, the smartest, sharpest, and even fittest people I know personally, or I've seen, all are either coffee lovers or drink coffee on a frequent or a consistent basis. Next is performance benefits. Obviously, we know caffeine is the main stimulant in coffee. It's been shown repeatedly, fucking mosquito. It's been shown repeatedly to increase power output, endurance, and all those fancy things, especially if you train earlier in the day. Having a cup of coffee is going to be very good for that. And performance, I'm not just talking about the body, I'm talking about the mind as well. In terms of, brain power, I like to mix my caffeine intake with not just coffee, but black tea, especially later during the day because it's lower caffeine content, so it doesn't mess with my sleep. But I do it more so because coffee lacks L-theanine or L-theanine, whatever you want to call it. I take coffee earlier during the day, and then later during the day, I take black tea, which contains L-theanine, which is going to help a little bit more with my focus levels and staying concentrated and just improving cognitive function overall. Coffee also has a lot of benefits for thyroid health, staying warm if you live in a cold climate. Yeah, coffee is going to make you a little bit warm. So if you live in a very hot, humid environment without much air conditioning, maybe don't overdo it too much. A lot of the benefits of coffee come from its caffeine content. I do not recommend drinking decaf for the most part. If you want less caffeine content, again, switch to something like black tea. So yeah, coffee really has a lot of benefits, and in terms of downsides, a lot of people like to say it dehydrates you, and while it's true that coffee does have a mild diuretic effect, the research has consistently shown that there is a net positive hydration effect. What I like to do especially is add salt to my coffee, and I preach, again, in my page, I preach a lot about sodium intake, how increasing your sodium intake for a lot of people is very beneficial, especially for athletes. And what this does, because I drink maybe like 2 to 4 cups of coffee a day, so the mineral content adds up. If I add salt, that's gonna contribute quite a bit, even if it's just a pinch, to my sodium intake for the day. Just adding a bit of salt, not only is it gonna improve taste, reduce bitterness if that's something you're looking for, but it's also gonna cancel out the slight diuretic effect and make it better for hydrating you at the cellular level. If you're drinking a cup of coffee before training or in the morning, especially on an empty stomach, this is something that I recommend. If you don't have a lot of food, if you're not consuming a lot of food, maybe you're cutting your food intake, adding salt to your coffee is very beneficial. Another downside people like to say is that coffee raises your cortisol levels, increases stress. That's really only true if you're drinking it, first of all, on an empty stomach and you're not very efficient at storing glycogen, and your glycogen stores aren't full, so you're going to create a bit of a stress response. But it's a very simple fix, really. All you got to do is just add sugar to your coffee. Sugar. Any type of sugar, brown sugar, white sugar. I like to add brown sugar personally, I prefer the taste. But white sugar is fine. All you want is to add sugar to your coffee. You're going to be totally fine. There's not going to be much of a stress response, especially in the morning. If, again, you're not very good at storing glycogen through your sleep. I recommend, again, not just adding salt for, brain health, performance, hydration, but adding sugar if you're worried about the stress response. Some days I don't add sugar. I like my coffee black, but on days where I know I'm going to be performing very heavily, like right after drinking this cup of coffee, if I'm going to go to the gym right now or going to go to the field, or maybe go to the mats, do some wrestling, jiu-jitsu, I will add maybe like 3 teaspoons of sugar to my coffee just to help get some extra carbs in there, as well as salt. And again, the salt in combination with the high mineral content, the potassium and phosphorus, manganese, all these other things in the coffee is gonna be a recipe for success when it comes to just being hydrated and healthy. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Maybe drink more coffee. Even right now as I'm making this video, I'm drinking a cup of coffee. That's how much I love coffee. So, bismillah.